younger. Now, his father gave the name to Pittsburgh, but we've never forgiven or forgotten him. You can see that we direct all the birds to do their business on him because he introduced income tax as a temporary measure, ha ha. So we honour him in our language with the expression, it's the pits. Because what could be worse, that's where it comes from, taxation, yeah. So George Street, the shops along George Street tend to be a little bit tonier, a bit more upmarket than Princes Street. But George Street, originally residential, and then it became an important part of our financial district. So the lighthouses are really important to save lives on particularly the west coast. Now coming in, we'll just go straight along here and then left and round to the right in Charlotte Square. Looking to the left here's some of the original townhouses. You will notice as we go around, a lot of the buildings are quite black and sooty looking, but here they've been cleaned up to the left, and it gives you a really lovely impression of what the city would have looked like when it was first built. Called Pitt's Portraits. William Pitt the Younger also introduced a very high tax on windows. Fair enough, directed at the wealthy. You had to be wealthy to live here. So one of the great men that lived in the new town of Edinburgh, that was in the 19th century. Robert Louis Stevenson's house. Yeah, if you can get it. Oh no, you're fine now. There we are, just here, number 17. Yes, he once said that his work was nothing in comparison with his family because they saved lives. He did study law and engineering at the university, but didn't practice either profession because of his health. He started to travel for climates that were much more suitable. The damp cold of Edinburgh was just not, because we're united with England, but no reigning monarch had visited us for 170 years. Of the Highlands, you do not wear pink tights under your kilt. So that's George the Fourth standing there. Just coming into George Street. It's a tight turn here. This is the sector of George Street that was the financial district. I'd heard of them. James Clerk Maxwell. He really, you could say, is the father of the internet. It wasn't Al Gore, because of electromagnetic energy. St Andrew, to match the Church of St George in Charlotte Square. But the Dundas family, Lawrence Dundas, a cousin of the man on the column, wanted to show off his wealth and power and status because he made a fortune in the Peninsular War, and right under the noses of the city fathers, he feud or leased that land and built his townhouse. By doing that, he completely upset the symmetry of the new town, because the church had to be built in George Street. We've just come past, but he got his as well because he lost it playing cards. And it's the Royal Bank of Scotland, and that's another place, and down here left and then left again. So coming back down to Princes Street, Jenner's, an old-time department store on the right. It's going to be on our right as we swing left. Quite a good landmark to know that you're on Princes Street to get back to the hotel. That monument, it looks a wee bit like a Gothic rocket about to take off. The railway station now down to the right, Waverley, named after the books of Sir Walter Scott. Now some of you may see at 12 o'clock there's some monuments up there on Carlton Hill. They're 19th century monuments. We're sort of thought of as cabbage-eating Calvinist, po-faced Presbyterian, a bit straight-laced, lacking the humour of the Irish Glaswegians. So passing on the left, that building's all been cleaned up. That's where we hatch, match and dispatch. It's the registry of births, deaths and marriages, and in front of it was a statue of the Duke of Wellington. Now in Glasgow, the Duke of Wellington, somebody climbs up and risks life and limb to put a traffic bollard on his head. They've got a great sense of humour. This building was very much remodeled in the 1930s. It was the Carlton Hill prison and jail, and it's now the Scottish government. So of course, yes. So of course, what a wonderful opportunity. It was a jail full of crooks, Now the government still full of crooks. That's a good one. Just maybe down here, we'll just try and pull up. If we can, just down here, because from here, isn't it beautiful? We're headed off for that area. Just get part to the bus stop, that'd be grand, Tony, thanks. From here, you should get a good view over your right shoulder of the way the old town developed. That's 14 stories. Now there's a mixture. What was good got rid of what was old, and I think nowadays it's a flag there on the left. So we're heading off for this area to the right. Now that is an old volcano, a dormant volcano, and sometimes we say we're taking you from the world's end, which will go past, up to an old volcano, and people look a bit concerned. But the volcanic activity was 340 million. But you can visit the palace at the moment. They have a very good new audio tour that takes you around. It's not part of our tour today, but that's it up over on the left. The oldest part built in the 1530s, and this little building here on the left, I always think looks like the gingerbread cottage from Hansel and Gretel. It's called Queen Mary's Bathhouse, and they try and tell us that the iconic and tragic Mary Queen of Scots took a bath there. It's mighty far from the palace. I think it was, maybe she met her lovers there. The old tower, 1530s, and to the right here, this is the new Scottish Parliament building. It was opened in 2004, but the Parliament, the devolved Parliament, was inaugurated in 1999. So it's devolved. The powers were devolved from the United Kingdom Parliament in London. So health, education, roads, all taken care of in Edinburgh, and defence, social security, lottery and gambling in London. Now do you see, it looks like bamboo poles on the right there. They're also incised into the buildings. That's to represent grasses or rushes blowing in the wind. It's the idea of the architect. Another glimpse of the palace on the left, not too brilliant. But there are 3 concrete ribbons on the right here, all covered in grass now, but they represent the roots, the building growing out of nature and then opening up with four towers shaped like ships. We call Scotland in miniature. If you look through the trees on the left, you should just see the ruins of an abbey church. That was where the palace was developed from, the guest rooms of a monastery that was founded there in the 1100s. To the right there, there's a spring that is said to have qualities that heal eye disease. All these tracks up to the summit, it takes about an hour to walk up to the top. Scotland, the people of Scotland are really keen on hill walking our hills, and you get into the wilderness very quickly. I think it's one of the outstanding features of the city that right in the centre is a dormant volcano, a piece of wild space that we can all enjoy. It's one of our royal parks, so you can't build on it. And there are 3 lochs here. This is a man-made loch here, and we're going to go up the road up here to the right, which was laid out by Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert. And having a path round here meant that she could get close to nature and get away from the formalities of her court. So we're going to drive round here at the other side, the east side. You get a fantastic view over the city, a 360 degree. And this is the way you can cheat. This is the way I do it. You drive up and you can scramble up a bit and just take a stick and throw it up and down. The doggies absolutely love it. And there's a loch here that would have been a vent during the volcanic period. And if you've got sharp eyes, there are ridges coming down the east side of the slope here, and evidently before Castle Rock there was an Iron Age fortress up on the top of Arthur's Seat, and this is an example of early man cultivating the land. And the reason the fort moved to Castle Rock, that 2,000 years ago the climate cooled and they couldn't grow up anything up here, so they moved to Castle Rock as a defensive feature. So just coming up on the left, you'll see the Firth of Forth, and you'll also see the word Lothian a lot while you're in Edinburgh. It's the name of the region. So there's 3 regional councils: East Lothian, Mid Lothian. We're in Mid Lothian, although the City of Edinburgh Council is separate now, but it's the region Mid Lothian, and there's a West Lothian. So there's Firth of Forth to the left, and you'll see in the distance a little hill. It's a volcanic plug that didn't come to anything. Down to the left another loch, and to the left the modern buildings, the Twin Towers. That's Craig Miller. That's one of our deprived areas. The writer Ian Rankin, he writes crime novels, and his maverick detective Rebus calls the police station out at Craig Miller Fort Apache, because it's so wild out there. And a white building nestling amongst trees down to the left, that was one of the houses of power that were about 30 minutes by carriage from the city of Edinburgh. It was in the Dick family, who were scientists, until 1951. It was built in the 1600s, and it's now a hotel. You can see they extended the hotel. It's just down to the left, and the round building, that was the carriage house at one time. One of the owners of the estate put the house on a card game, but he won, unlike Lawrence Dundas, who lost his lovely house. And he planted the trees in the grounds in the shape of the Ace of Clubs. That was his winning card. You can just see the sort of 3 loops. And there's a golf course down here, one of the 30. In the far distance, the modern buildings, that's the science campus of the University of Edinburgh, King's Buildings. And then framing the city to the south, the Pentland Hills, also volcanic in origin, but it looks like there's 3 scars coming down the north slope. That's a dry ski slope. It's brush matting, very powerful plastic brush. If you fall, you can stave your fingers on that quite easily, but it's a all the year round ski slope. And this is the view I was talking about. We'll stop down here by the seat. Is juxtaposed against the Salisbury Crags, this great sill of rock to the right called Salisbury Crags. So a great day to get a photograph here. Yeah, we'll just pull up a wee bit further down, will be grand. And have a photo pretty uniform. You'll see some, not all, but some of the 7 hills of Edinburgh from here. The modern buildings immediately down to the left, you would call them dorms, student halls of residence. So we'll just have a quick photo stop. We'll be driving up what is called the Royal Mile. It's so called because it connects the Royal Palace, the Palace of Holyrood House, this is where the blue buildings are. It was called Dumpy Dykes. You see the lattice work representing grasses blowing in the wind. There's the panels. It's awfully itty bitty. I mean, it was all that granite comes from South Africa. So it's completely designer. You know, the carpets, the desks, everything, architect design. You know, if you have an architect designed house and everything is pale yellow, townhouse of the Marquesses of Queensberry. You might have heard of the Queensberry rules of boxing. Social housing on the right, this is rented from the council. Adam Smith the political scientist, lived up here in Panmure Close, just passing on the right. During the Enlightenment, World Heritage are paying for his house to be done up. Just the poppies there on the right that we're going past. Any Outlander fans? Yeah? Yes. Outlander location coming up. See the yellow building on the left? Bakehouse Close, just if you could slow down a wee bit, Tony, just really slow. To the left, through there, some people in there. That was where the Print Works was filmed in Outlander. Now this was the heart of the Canongate. There's an old building on the right here. If you look up, you may see some shells. They believed that the shells would protect them from the evil wishes of witches, superstitious. There was a courthouse in there. The little doorway was the jail. So the Canongate was a separate town to the old town of Edinburgh. It's where the nobles lived because it was lighter and airier. So just passing under a balcony up there to the left, which at one time was the townhouse of the Earls of Moray, and eventually with very clever town planning is now part of the university. So the university buildings are all over the city. Edinburgh University is still famous for medicine. So the next section, we're going to get caught in a bit of traffic, but the next section is Old Edinburgh proper. It's its name. It starts off Canongate, this is the Canongate, High Street, Lawn Market and Castle Hill, but it's all part of the Royal Mile. Anyway, we're going to go up the High Street, take a left. They won't let you in without coming back out. Anyway, this is much better logistically if we go to the museum. Oh, we got through quite quickly. Now, two of the oldest buildings in Edinburgh passing on the right. You see the cream coloured building and next to it Mowbray House. They've been standing there since 1450. Now that's before Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Remember that? 1492 when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So if you time travelled back here to 1450, they'd be standing there exactly as they were originally. And they survived a lot of the regeneration because this man, Patrick Geddes, wanted to keep the good and get rid of the rubbish. Because this old town, a lot of the buildings collapsed. There was, sure I'm pronouncing that wrong because it's Gaelic. But there's a lot of shops down here. This is the High Street part. Next section, Lawn Market, the best ways to see it on foot. So we're swinging left here. The church, the first church that you see, that has been ruled by bishops, and that was the war between the bishops' war. Now congregations are dwindling, they're uniting, churches are becoming empty, so you'll see them, all sorts of things. They just left here. Brilliant. Go down to the right, we'll take you down to Princess Street. So some of you may see, maybe not all of you, but there's a dome at 12 o'clock because we're turning right here at the lights there and it'll be high above us. But that's where the first stone for the University of Edinburgh was laid back in the 1600s, making Edinburgh the youngest of our ancient universities. The oldest is St Andrews, 1412, 1413. And this is 1600s, so much later to the city. So we're going right here and we're going to pull up further up, Tony, if we can. Ooh, if we can get in.
here.
The wee doggy, everyone touches his nose. No, round the loop. Straight on here. And then in the gap in the buildings, his headstone. So we're just going to be driving past some of the buildings of the University of Edinburgh. Straight on here and then right. We're just passing on the right. That used to be a church. It's used as a theatre, but you see the name, it's called Bedlam, because the city asylum was this building here, which is now a boutique hotel. And the order of nuns that used to look after people that weren't quite the full shilling, if you know what I mean, didn't have all their paddles in the creek. Sisters of Bethlehem. So from Bethlehem it became Bedlam. These are, oh, we're coming up to graduation. These are some of the older buildings of the university. On the left there, that's where the students graduate sit their exams. And then the old building on the left with the arch is the medical school. That, along with the Royal Infirmary, has moved 8 miles out of the city, and these buildings are being redeveloped as apartments. There is a restaurant, the Tower Restaurant in the museum. I recommend you go up to the roof for the photographs. So we're going down to the left at the lights here, and so on the left hand side you'll see Bobby's headstone in the old graveyard, and on the right hand side the monument. We're just going to go through the old marketplace and make our way up to the castle now. So if there's a, yeah, in the gap just here on the left, the headstone of Bobby. Oh, there's people round it, all are walking to, and left here, turning left here, yeah. And the little doggy on the right. Everyone touches his nosy. So that's George IV Bridge. This is Candlemaker Road. It runs into the old grass market. Now running down from George IV Bridge is Victoria Street, and that was the inspiration for Diagon Alley. Almost at the end of Victoria Street is a shop called Museum Context. If you're a Harry Potter fan, that's the shop to visit, because they made the costumes for the film. It's all the real stuff. So I'll show you where Victoria Street is. This street on the right is the Cowgate, where they brought the cattle in from the walls outside the city. As it opened up, this is the old marketplace. Now there's lots of historical pubs. Straight on here, or left. Left it is. Go left and straight on. There's lots of historic pubs here. It was where the public executions context is just up there a little bit on the left hand side. So that's Victoria Street. This is the grass market. Lots of walking tours. You'll see the name of the pub on the right there. It's called The Last Drop. Not the last drop of alcohol, but the last drop before you were dispatched to eternity. So this used to be really down at heel with hostels for the homeless, but they've really tidied it up and it's a very vibrant part of town. The White Hart Inn on the right has been standing there since 1516. Amazing. The Beehive Inn. Well, there's a lovely place. It's an old church. You can go in, get fantastic. Just on the right here, it's covered with plastic flowers at the very end. Go in there, there's a brewery in there, and up the top you've got amazing views of the castle. Just look up to the right. So that place, if you go in there, great views of the castle, and straight on here, and we're going to turn right at the next set of traffic lights. So you can see how powerful that fortress was. The road that we're going up is new, but that drop originally came right down to the grass market, so it's a U-shaped valley right round the castle. So when we get up there, we'll be using our whispers to go up to the top of the castle. Ian's going to run ahead and get the tickets. He's kindly phoned, so we won't have to wait.